chill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Taylor. Cody, how are you on this rainy Saturday morning here in Pennsylvania anyway?
Listen, it's raining for you guys. It's actually very sunny and nice here in East Tennessee. I'm doing splendid. I don't have my 7 brew yet. Girlfriend's out getting that right now. But it's Steeler football's back. I guess. I don't know. We'll talk about all this game. We'll break it all down. We are going to be joined later by our co-host Nick if he gets in here and if he has time. He's dealing with the other things right now. So we are excited to have him join us. James, how are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Looking forward to the day. Get to help out the neighbors. They're getting a new dishwasher, so got to get over there and help them out after the show because they're not able to be home and haven't had a dishwasher in a while now. So somebody's going to help out. And but there's some positives from this game. And it's an exciting thing to see certain players do well. There's a lot of guys that really struggled in this game, but we're going to cover all that.
Yep. All the things will be covered on this show. Obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers went up against the New York Jets at Acrisure. They had 2 home games in a row this preseason, which is nice. But this was the game that everyone was looking forward to, right? This was let's see Drew Allar with the 1s and 2s. I say 1s and 2s because a lot of the ones still didn't play. And then let's see Drew Allar in the second half. And man, it was kind of disappointing overall. There were some good things, some bad things. But to lose 17-0 kind of tells you how the offense went. So, and we'll talk about where to put the blame and who struggled and things like that. But at the end of the day, this is still preseason. This is the time that you get these, issues and mistakes out of the way. I was happy to say less penalties in this game. So that was big.
Yeah.
But man, offense was struggling.
Yeah, and I think before we jump fully into it, let's talk about the difference from who was available in this game versus the last game.
Yep.
So a lot of what we talked about after the first game was the fantastic performance by the rookie class in general. Just everybody had good games, it seemed. This game, we had less rookies available to us. So Maxie Hanachor still not fully back with that shoulder injury yet. Jennings Dunker missed this game. I'm guessing due to injury because otherwise he would have been out there.
He went off the field during practice a few days ago.
Yeah, so there's that. Dalen Everett, same thing. He was unable to play in this game, and he contributed heavily and in a positive manner in that first game. So you had quite a big difference on key guys who were not available for this particular game. And I felt like that did make a decent bit of difference. But a lot of it was execution to me, guys were making some decent plays and let's get into the big part of the room here, the elephant in the room. We were all very hopeful for Will Howard to step up to the plate and have a great game. And there were moments where he made some really nice throws in this game, but with the pressure mounting when the most important throws had to be made, he threw 2 interceptions.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because, I've heard lots of different stories on what happened on these. The first one, Roman Wilson's got he's got probably 2 yards on his defender in the guys in a trail technique, but there's a safety that he doesn't see. The safety comes down, jumps the route, picks it off. Now, I've heard a few people say that he kind of drifted on the route, which means instead of running parallel to the line like he was supposed to, he started kind of fading towards the end zone, which makes the angle a little bit easier for the safety to be able to jump the route. That being said, Will Howard's got to see that safety.
Yep.
It's a ball placement thing to me because if he throws that in the corner of the end zone, the safety can't jump it. And that's where it would need to be out in front of him because where it was thrown still wasn't in front of Roman Wilson. Roman would have had to completely stop in order to catch that ball. And this is a 4-3 dude running full speed across the field. So you can't really just ask him to stop when he's got his guy beat like that. So
Yep.
I felt like although Roman did absolutely drift on that route and start going towards the end zone instead of running straight flat on his route, the ball placement was still poor on the throw.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I was trying to see it and pull up the image to see if I could see it. But definitely just a struggle because that interception happened on the drive where he hit Ben Skoranek over the middle with a great pass, really threw it in there, gunned it in there. And it felt good to see that kind of play happen. And then unfortunately, you just have the interception happen on the back end of it, which really does suck. And even the thing that sucks most about that is when they showed the replay from behind the end zone, you saw Roman Wilson realize it was interception and take a second for it to click in. Oh, I should start chasing this guy. Oh, I should start running behind him. And that's the part that I think sucks even worse. You can learn a little bit about those mistakes for Will Howard. Will Howard can learn from that. But Roman Wilson, we talk so often about teaching. You can't teach the effort plays. You can't teach it. And so that's the part that's concerning for me of that play. Roman Wilson getting a chance to be on the field after the conundrum of the first year, and it's like, or first and second year, right? This is his third.
Yeah, he missed the whole first year injured.
Yeah. And so we haven't seen much from him, and this is a chance. Like, that ball gets picked, he better be planted in the ground and like just steamrolling after that guy. But at the end of the day, the two interceptions, I don't think you can necessarily fault anybody other than Howard on those throws. I mean, obviously the drifting into the end zone is bad. And I believe whoever said that was right. I haven't seen the replay, but even after that interception, I saw Aaron on the sideline talking to some of the receivers and talking plant and go. Like, you could very clearly tell what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so, Will Howard's going to learn from that. Will Howard will be fine, but it just sucks because there's only one more chance to see these guys. And for those people that don't like preseason, this is why people like James and I are upset that there's only 3 games now. You can learn something in 2 games and then think, okay, well, I want to try this 2 different ways, but you only get another shot. It's one and done now. So I'm still excited. I think we're still, I don't think we're going to see Mason in the last game. I don't think we're going to see Aaron. I think it's still going to be a Drew and Will show. And I'm curious if they don't do something different than what they did now. They gave one of them the first half, one of them the second half. I'm curious this time if we see more of a, hey, let's kind of let them alternate in the first half and then alternate in the second half. That way they're getting snaps with both crew and see who can do what. That would just be my thought. I know that some people will say, well, then you're not giving guys enough time to build the momentum. Well, in the NFL, guess what? If someone goes down with an injury, you don't have time to build momentum. You're just in there. So I'm curious to see how they split the snaps in this third and final preseason game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very telling. And, while we're on that topic of, Ben Skoranek making that catch, that's going to be the one for me today. That was the best wide receiver in yesterday's game was Ben Skoranek.
Yep.
Which is kind of unfortunate for the rest of the guys. Roman had a couple opportunities there. He has a couple of catches, but I get it taking him a second before he gets into pursuit mode on that first interception, just because, like, if that were me, I'm thinking, dang it, man, you make this throw and I got a touchdown and everybody's talking about how I'm having a great preseason, and instead I'm chasing down an interception. Like, that is a disappointing thought. And I know you don't get the opportunity to sit there and think about that, but it's going to take you a second to be like, okay, now I got to go chase this down and try to make a play as a defender, basically, instead. The second interception was one that was just 100% ball placement to me. If a guy is in trail technique and he gets the interception, it's because your placement sucked. So that's
the first one.
Yeah, and it takes him, and then he gets going. It's a little bit of, hey, I can't believe this. He does start to chase it down, but yeah, I mean, he comes to a complete stop to watch that interception happen. 5 yards in front of him when he should be chasing it in the corner of the end zone. So that would have been very infuriating to me, because part of being a wide receiver is completely out of your control. Like, you can do your job at an incredible level, And if the quarterback play sucks around you, you're never going to get to show people your potential. And I think that he understands that right now, that he could be in a make or break it preseason where either this team's going to rely on him during the regular season or he's going to ride the pine or maybe not even make the team. And throws like that can be the difference. And he can't control the throw. And that's a powerless feeling, knowing that something that's so important can be so far out of your own control.
Yep. Yeah. And then I'm looking at the second one again. And that feels more of a Will Howard issue. I mean, Roman, maybe not. I would like to see this from a different angle. But while we're breaking it down, I just kind of want to talk about it. If you watch Roman, he's right here, and it looks like he breaks, and he's got separation. And then when he turns to look for the ball, he slows down. When he turns to look for the ball, he slows down right here. From what I could tell, maybe not, but either way, I feel like.
Well, where's the ball thrown though? You know, like
if it needs to be thrown upfield.
If he's going to catch that ball, he's going to catch it behind him as he's running. So the ball is thrown behind and it needs to be out in front of him and further downfield.
Yep. Yep. That's just a Will Howard issue.
Yeah, I just think Will threw a bad ball there.
Yep. Can't argue that in the slightest.
There's room. Like there's room out in front of him as to where that ball should go towards the sideline and downfield.
Yep.
And it's just not where the ball went. So frustrating. You know, at least we did get to see some nice moments from each of the quarterbacks where they made some good strikes and good throws and good reads. Just for Will's sake, a lot of it didn't go so well based off of those two plays. And both times he was driving the ball down the field too and putting a nice drive together. So frustrating way to end a drive to get 0 points because of the turnover. I felt like it was a little bit different story on the other side, though, with Drew Allar. Drew also, I felt like, was making the throws, but 7 dropped passes in this game, and I think all of them were targets of Drew Allar's. I don't know that any of them were dropped by guys that Will Howard threw the ball to.
Yeah.
Because he only had 4 incompletions, and 2 of those are interceptions.
Yep.
So at worst-case scenario, 2 of them were for Will Howard, and the other 5 were Drew Allar. But I honestly think all 7 were Drew Allar. And none of them were like, where I thought it was a bad ball and the guy just couldn't catch it. It was just stone hands after butterfingers, after concentration drops, just a frustrating thing there. You know, we had a real nice sideline throw where Drew bails on the pocket, and he kind of had to, and launches one deep downfield on the left sideline to Lake McRae, who just made a fantastic catch on the sideline there for a 38-yard gain it was on the play. Gets his toes dragged inbounds and everything, and then on the same drive tries to hit him on a quick, skinny post right over the middle. Would have been an easy 7 or 8 yard pickup, and he just straight drops it. Nobody even hit him. He just dropped it. And it seemed like this happened over and over. Cody's got the play here for the toe drag. Yeah, I mean, that's at the 20-yard line, 19-yard line, and very, very nice catch. A perfect touch pass by Drew Allar, which is not something he's necessarily known for. And, you know, you see stuff like that and you're like, all right, man, here we go. And then, you know, every pass after that, it seemed like every dude dropped it. So a very frustrating game on the passing side of things, because as bad as the receivers were with their ability to catch the football, I felt like the pass blocking of the tackles was just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, after that play, if I'm not mistaken, we had 2 plays or 3 plays, obviously first down, and 2 of the 3 were sacks. So the guarding the offensive line, the pass protection was not there for either quarterback, quite frankly, but definitely not for Drew Allar. I mean, those tackles were getting absolutely torched, even on a play. I think the frustrating part was which guy's number 20?
Caleb Johnson.
Caleb Johnson did a horrible pass protection in this game.
No, I didn't think so at all. I'm on the complete opposite.
Really? Okay, so I'm talking about specifically whenever I saw this play. You know, I feel like he could have gotten.
It's not his job to pass protect on that play. It's his job to be the emergency person to throw to. Driscoll just got annihilated on that play.
You don't think that's a spot where you like
It's
hit and
his
go?
job to pick up the extra or free blitzer, not to double team somebody.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
No, that
so
makes sense. That makes sense. So
yeah, that's
but
just Driscoll having a really bad rep, and he had a few of those in this game. I thought that he was one of the worst offensive linemen in this game. But Nick able to join us this morning. Nick, how are you?
Gentlemen, I'm doing well. It's a cold and rainy morning. And that's about how I'm feeling about some of the parts of this game. Cold and rainy and downright upset. I thought that there were some guys that did show some solid effort, but I mean, especially in terms. We were talking in our group chat last night as we were reacting live to what was happening, and I thought especially the O-line had a pretty poor showing this game. I thought that if we could have seen them gel a little bit better, we would have been able to see a little bit more out of both Howard and Allar. I think Allar was the better quarterback on the day, but I'm not sure what you guys have covered so far. I know we talked about Caleb Johnson there a little bit. James, you highlighted Jack Driscoll, which I think is a great call out. Needed to see some more out of him. Thought Broderick Jones also was a bit of a liability in this game, and I mean that's to be expected coming back from such a major surgery. We saw Asante Samuel Jr. have to kind of come back a little bit from that, and he's now doing much better, but he's a full year removed from the surgery, whereas Broderick Jones is just starting that recovery journey. So really sucks that Max Ionichor is out with an injury at this point in time, because I think right tackle was one of the biggest weak points in this game. But hopefully once we can get some better offensive line play, we'll see a little bit more out of these two quarterbacks, and hopefully that comes in this upcoming matchup we have against the Bills.
yeah. It's never good seeing your right tackle get twisted on and then chasing an offensive lineman. It's never a good time for anybody involved.
Yeah.
And to be fair, on the one play, it was David Bailey, the second overall pick, who is widely touted to be a very efficient and promising edge rusher prospect. So, I mean, you got to give a little bit of credit where credit is due, but that's the caliber of player that you face in the NFL. And luckily, we don't see Myles Garrett twice a year anymore, but we're still going to have that level of competition, especially if we are trying to make a playoff run. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of improvement on that offensive line going into this next week.
Yeah, offensive tackle play in general in this game, I felt like Pittsburgh had one good one, and it was Troy Fautanu. I didn't see anything negative from Fautanu in this whole game, which is great because he did have some mental slip-ups in the first game as far as a holding penalty. And this game, it was, like you said, is Jack Driscoll having a very tough game. Broderick Jones having a tough game. And Broderick, I'm willing to give a little bit of a pass just because of the fact that he is coming back from that big injury, like you mentioned. And for an offensive lineman, I feel like strength is so dang important in the fact that he has just started getting back into physical things the last month or two here. There's not a chance in the world that his strength is anywhere near what it needs to be or what it used to be. So that's something that will come back with time, and then I feel like his play will probably improve with it. But in the meanwhile, you probably can't put him out there as a starting right tackle right now, which is bad because I don't know if Dylan Cook can be put out there as a starting right tackle either.
I don't know who the – go ahead.
It just seems to me that he's way more comfortable on the left side. Yeah, I feel like he's not playing well on the right. Later on in the game, they moved him over to the left. He had some reps over there, and I thought he represented himself just fine on the left side. But some guys just don't play well on both sides. They only play well on one side. We've seen this before. That was the case with Kevin Dodson. Great on the right side, not so good on the left side. Some guys just are not able to flip from one side to the other. And maybe that's the case with Dylan Cook. Maybe he's just most comfortable at left tackle, which is a problem for him because we don't have an open spot for that. A backup, yes. As a starter, no. Fautanu's got that locked down.
This was one of the plays that I also had in question. And James, I'm curious to get your input because I didn't know where to put the blame here. I felt like part of this blame was on the guard. So you're going to see a stunt. They're going to do a stunt here on the right side, and they don't pass off that first guy and then leaves Broderick chasing. I don't know if that's...
Can you zoom in on that image at all?
I don't think I can,
like stadium view right now, so I can't really tell much.
No, that's okay. I just couldn't tell if that was a guard not passing off or Broderick not even paying attention to be able to pass it off. They did a little stunt with the outside guy going inside, the inside guy kind of just running through the guard towards the outside, and that led to one of the incomplete passes because he had no time to actually throw the ball. Came into a little sidearm, still got the ball actually pretty accurate, hit the guy in the hands. Just unfortunately, you don't have any time in that pocket. There's no pocket to step up into. There's nothing.
And I would say when a twist doesn't get picked up correctly, it's on both guys typically. You got to communicate that, and some of it is chemistry of playing next to a guy and knowing how he's going to handle it. And that's part of why Mason McCormick and Troy Fautanu love playing next to each other so much, because they're able to pass that stuff off back and forth, and they know how the other one's going to react, and they know exactly when to leave this guy to go to this one. Which is just incredibly important stuff. So part of that's probably chemistry of those guys just not playing together, because I think we have Brock Hoffman and Broderick Jones next to each other most of the night there, and they've not played together before this preseason. So there's not going to be a whole ton of chemistry between the two of them. That's one of my biggest concerns coming into the regular season here is we've seen struggles on the right side of this offensive line early. And whatever the starting combination ends up being, whether Max recovers and he's ready to go week one, is it going to be Spencer Anderson at right guard? Is it going to be Brock Hoffman? Is Jennings Dunker going to make a late push? Is he going to get inserted into the starting lineup week 9 after the bye? Like, what are we going to see here? And what kind of continuity is there going to be for these guys to get comfortable with each other? Because right now, the right side doesn't look super comfortable. I was very happy with the left side and with center. I think everything went great in that game on that side as far as the starters anyway. Obviously, you saw some issues once Driscoll came in at left tackle. That didn't go very well. But we've got to start seeing something from these guys, or we need Max to make it back in time for the start. I feel like Spencer Anderson's doing okay. He's not wowing me. He's certainly not getting a big push in the run game, which we need. But he's at least not getting torched in the passing game. And I felt like there's some real issues going on there on the edge right now.
Yeah.
I like your mention of Dunker, who did not dress for this game, which surprised me a little bit, especially obviously once they don't dress, they're not going to be coming in. But with some of the struggles we did see on that right side of the line, I would have liked to have seen him thrown out there to see a little bit more of what we have in the kid, because he has experience. He played tackle in college, so you could at least give him a shot to try it at the NFL level, especially when the two guys you're throwing out there aren't really giving you the best showing. So I know they project him to be a bit more of a guard in the NFL, and that's where we probably would want to see him lengthwise. But if he's got the tackle experience and he puts a better showing out there than two guys that you've got, you might just need to use him there for the time being until maybe Max is healthy or whatever plays out there. So just a little disheartening to see one of the young guys not get a chance to put some more tape out there in the preseason, at least for me.
I'm going to go back to the 53-man roster predictions and kind of change things up. There's a chance that we have a guy on the 53 that's not on the team right now in the offensive line room. I don't know how satisfied this coaching staff is going to be with certain players on this team. I know that we've talked about Broderick being okay on that left side and playing better, but I don't know. I mean, maybe that, and maybe even it's just moving someone to IR. Maybe it's just moving someone to the physically unable to perform list. Whatever it is,
it's too late.
But is it too late for the pup? Okay,
they have to start.
That was before.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, maybe it's moving someone to the IR and letting them ride it out and bring somebody that wasn't on the team already in, even as a depth piece, because I'm just not satisfied with what we're seeing out of this offensive line at all. So.
Yeah, and it's certain guys for me, I felt like the pass protection from the tackles in this game wasn't good outside of Fautanu. So that's just got to get better. But it's also tough because of the fact that we haven't seen Maxi Anichor in a game yet. And the reports have been so good on him. So I don't think that they're going to – I think the only way that there's somebody that makes this offensive line group for the 53 that's not on the roster right now is if they trade for somebody. Because outside of that, I promise you, there's nobody available in free agency right now that would be better than what's on the roster, or someone would have signed them. You got 90 guys on every team. And most teams have also had a tryout, just like Pittsburgh did, where they brought in 30 guys in addition to that. So everybody's tried out thousands of people at this point, and there's no one else to bring in.
The only thing I would potentially bring up in opposition to that, and correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the value of these players, though, James, every team has to make about, 37 cuts within the next couple of weeks here?
37. It's like 1,100 guys are going to be free agents. So
if there's a team that maybe has some really solid offensive line depth, you might, and obviously you're probably not going to be your starting caliber guy, but with what the play we saw yesterday, I wouldn't be opposed to giving Driscoll the boot and maybe signing somebody who gave a little bit of a better showing in the preseason that might not make somebody else's roster if they're the right caliber. But how many guys that get cut from those 32 teams, 37 players are going to have, and 31 teams, 37 players, because you can't count Pittsburgh, are going to be of a caliber to be able to be proficient. So it's a long shot, but there may be some guy out there that you feel comfortable bringing in to be at least a depth piece for you.
And yeah, the flip side of that is, why is that team not keeping them? There aren't too many teams out there that have so many good offensive linemen that they don't know what they're going to do with them. I mean, we thought maybe we were in that issue a week ago, but I don't feel like we're in that issue right now. At least at certain positions anyway. We're not as deep at tackle as we were hoping maybe. And maybe it's just a couple bad games from these guys. It's tough to say, but I feel like there's still some good depth at certain positions, but like Ryan McCollum, not his best game. Brock Hoffman was a little bit up and down, but was mostly good. I feel like the interior is pretty much solid. It's just finding an offensive tackle. And I think the offensive tackle you're looking for just hasn't been able to play yet because he isn't healthy. And I feel okay with Broderick Jones and Dylan Cook as backup tackles this season if Max is starting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Broderick, to me, seems to be just working his way back, like we already mentioned. So hopefully the strength, as you mentioned, James, it's important for a lineman because you need to be able to move bodies around. And if you can't move bodies around, well, then that kind of is half your responsibility. Yeah. So, if once he can build up some more of that play strength, I mean, like you said, not able to do the lifting for over a year is a huge deal for a normal person, let alone somebody who's a professional athlete who's meant to throw grown men around who are trying to throw you around on the opposite side. So hopefully we see some play strength come back throughout the season for him.
Yeah, let's jump into the running back room a little bit here. The wide receiver room was a depressing thing to talk about, but it felt like we saw a little bit of life out of the running game in this game. Not much for like the big plays, and the averages aren't going to look crazy, but they also don't look bad. Nobody below 3.4 yards a carry. Jalen Warren was 5 carries for 17 yards. Rico Dowdle, 5 for 18. Caleb Johnson, 10 for 39. Lou Nichols, 3 for 11. Eli Heidenreich with the best average of the day on 2 for 9. But this was a big opportunity for Caleb Johnson in this game. And I felt like if you looked at it from, this was the game that he was highlighted. Last week was the game that Travis Homer was highlighted. Travis Homer ended up with like 2 yards a carry. Caleb Johnson ends up with 3.9 with his biggest run of the day being called back to a holding penalty. I felt like Caleb played pretty decent and got better as the game went on. I felt like he got a little bit quicker, was showing a little bit more burst. I still want to see him break some of these arm tackles. There was a few times in this game where he had one-on-ones on the edge with a safety or a corner, and he was unable to break the tackle or make the guy miss. I want to see that in the third preseason game, and you don't know how many reps he's going to get in the third preseason game because this was his game to shine. But when tasked with pass blocking, when he did have to pick up a blitzing linebacker, he stoned him. He stood his ground, and he held those linebackers, and they did not get through him or past him. And that was the case with Eli Heidenreich, too. There was one time where I saw Eli get kind of run over, but it was because he was stretching out, trying to get somebody at the end of his arms. Outside of that, those two in pass protection I thought were magnificent in this game. Picking up blitzing linebackers that were free, which is the main responsibility for a running back. Get the free guy, not the double team. If you see that, that's going to be like right away. Like he's going to go straight to that double team if that's his responsibility. But picking up blitzing linebackers, both of those guys I thought were great in this game, which is huge because that was supposed to be the thing that Travis Homer was going to bring to the table, right? His special teams value and his ability to be a pass protector as a running back. I thought Homer sucked as a running back in the first week and got run over as a pass protector, and it was the opposite for these two. We didn't have huge performances from either guy, from Caleb or from Eli, but both of them I felt when tasked with this pass protection really held up. And for Eli, I'm even more impressed because he's a smaller dude. He's only like 200 pounds at a running back as to where Caleb Johnson's 230. You would think a 230-pound running back would be all right in pass protection. But a 200-pound guy, yeah, maybe not so much. You're giving up 40 pounds, 50 pounds to somebody who's blitzing linebackers.
It's that Navy Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I really felt like both dudes did well in that category in this game, and that was so important. I feel like the running back conversation just got really, really muddy because a lot of people after that first game were saying, man, it's pretty clear the team really loves Travis Homer with all the snaps that he got in this game. He's probably going to be running back number 3. And I was saying, man, the way Travis Homer played in that first game, I don't want him as running back number 3. And very clearly other guys were given a bigger opportunity in this game with Caleb, I think, really outshining what Travis did in last week's game. So I think if you're looking at the two of them, I put Caleb in a higher position than Travis Homer after the first 2 weeks.
And I believe the depth chart still reflects the same thing there. I believe Johnson is still listed as Homer. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But the difference for me as well, and I love everything you said about the pass protection there, James. The difference for me comes in the trajectory of the players. You have two young guys who are showing that they're, like with Caleb Johnson, he had a rough rookie year, but he's showing that he's still working, that he's still grinding, that he's still trying to improve his game. And with Eli Heidenreich, you've got a very small sample size because all you have is really his college tape and then what little preseason experience he's had. So hopefully we get to a more extended burn of him in this third preseason game. But with Homer, you've got a guy who you kind of know what you have in him. So I was a little disappointed that we saw such an extended burn of him in the first game and that it wasn't a great showing because he seems to be on the downward trend, whereas the other two young guys seem to be on the upward trend, and you have developmental pieces that you can continue to mold there. And with the number of running back coaches we have on this team, I'd much rather go with the younger coachable guys than the guy who's been around, done it, and seems to be kind of starting to fall off on that end. So hopefully we can get a longer look at Eli Heidenreich in this third matchup, because I think that'll give us a better look into what we've got. And if we keep 4 running backs, which I kind of hope we do, I would like to see it be Johnson and Heidenreich.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this room breaks down because Eli Heidenreich is obviously the home guy, obviously the guy that everyone loves. He has the story, everything else. It's like it's almost like a I don't want to say smaller, but it's like a less known thing of like the James Conner coming home kind of thing, or the James Conner staying home, I should say. But Eli Heidenreich is a guy that I want to see what he can do long term with us. And Caleb Johnson in this game, I agree with James. I wasn't as keen on the pass blocking things, but when he was in there, when he was running, I felt like he was running hard. I felt like he was trying. He had almost a good stiff arm. I was really hoping he just planted the guy's face in the dirt, but he missed him just a little bit.
Yeah, that was Ryan Clark's kid.
Yeah. Yep. I saw that. They talked about it.
He did a great job at swiping down the stiff arm. Yeah, I'll give him credit. He definitely listened to what his dad taught him.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, I thought Johnson didn't lose any reps, in my opinion, in this game. He didn't justify, hey, we can't put him in there as much now, or whatever. And Eli only having 2 carries. I mean, you're not going to get a good visual understanding of that. And I almost hope that we don't see Jalen Warren or Rico Dowdle in game 3. I just don't think it's worth it. They're both on the team. They both have a position. Obviously the offensive line, the best offensive line we have, needs to be out there to get them accustomed to each other. Throw Caleb Johnson and Eli Heidenreich behind a better offensive line in the next game, and let's see what they can do. Let's see what holes they can get through and big plays they can make happen, because I think both of those guys have potential. And Caleb Johnson has been on the cliff with me as far as like, I know we got him for a third round, but I haven't seen diddly squat from him. I understand he hasn't had the greatest opportunities, but last night was, I don't want to say impressive, but it was relieving is the word I'll use.
Yeah,
promising.
A little bit of promising, definitely relieving. But overall, again, in any game, even preseason, it does suck to not see a team past the 100-yard rushing mark. So that just kind of depicts how the game went for us in general.
Yeah. Steps in the right direction with the running game yesterday was the good way to describe it. And I like what Mike McCarthy said after the game. He talked about giving Caleb more of an opportunity in this game because he didn't get as much in the last game, and wanting to keep that balance equal for the final game for guys who didn't get as much of an opportunity. I like that particular part right there, and I'll tell you why. Because the one guy who I feel like hasn't had much of a burn yet in the running back room is Eli Heidenreich. So I think I got a suspicion here that Eli might be the feature guy in this final game. I'd love to see a heavy dose of Lou Nichols and Eli Heidenreich in this third game. Let's give both of those guys a little more burn. Lou got a decent burn in that first preseason game and definitely outshined Travis Homer, but I think only one carry in this game, so he just didn't get much. 3 carries for Lou Nichols in this game, so not a great opportunity. Eli only 2 carries, as you'd mentioned, and I think he maybe even had less than that in the first game. He was only like 1 or 2 carries in the first game. So I'm really hoping that him insinuating how he wants to keep it like even and give everybody an opportunity in the running back room is an indication of a much heavier load for Eli Heidenreich in this third preseason game. That would be fantastic. But one thing I feel like that's going to make this running back competition even more difficult is the fact that Robert Tonyan is looking like the real deal and looking like it would be tough to keep him off a 53-man roster. Again, putting together a good performance, a very reliable receiver. I don't think he was one of the guys that had a drop pass as so many others did in this game. Riley Nowakowski, one opportunity to catch it. He caught it again. So showing some good hands from him too. I feel like your number 3 tight end and your number 1 fullback are pretty much got themselves cemented. And obviously you're not doing anything to get rid of your top 2 dudes. So the fact that those guys have represented themselves so well this preseason, I think that makes it tougher on the running back room because you can't necessarily keep 4 running backs if you're keeping 3 tight ends and a fullback.
It's going to be interesting.
There's also the discussion of keeping 4 quarterbacks that's been going around.
There's no way.
I don't think so. I agree. I'm with you. But
and unfortunately, I think it's the 2 on the hot seat right now, in my opinion, are Howard and Mason.
Howard and Mason.
Yeah. I don't. Drew Allar's passes last night, I am a Penn State fan, but I am a Will Howard fan, and this is the part that sucks for me. Is I want Drew. I would, in a perfect world, Drew Allar's our guy. We win 5 Super Bowls. He moves on, like legend, whatever. But I don't like how he reacted to being drafted by the Steelers. I don't like that he's a Browns fan. Other than I am excited to see him kick their butt for the next 20 years if that's how this goes. But I love Will Howard, and meeting him at the NFL draft was very cool, and he was very awesome to talk to. But it's Drew Allar's passes last night, even the ones that were incomplete and knocked down or whatever, were so well. The touch he put on those balls was impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the drops and the incompletions, a lot of the incompletions were drops. It was not on Allar. He delivered a great ball that the receiver had a chance at, and when you get the 3rd, 4th, 5th string guys out there, they're just not making those grabs. And a lot of it too is he was under pressure. He was having to create on the fly as well. He looked composed underneath those situations, and even on the last play of the game, he showed a little bit of the Ben moxie there to escape that sack and get out and get a pass off before being taken down. So.
Yeah, I'd argue he didn't get a pass off as it went out of the back of the end zone, but I understand what you're saying.
He got a pass off. Was it
he got a throwaway.
True. Was it a catchable pass? No, but he did pass the ball to the stands.
And also not interceptable, which is a heady move in that situation. If that's a third down situation,
If it's a third down, I was like,
Yeah,
it's fourth down.
I mean, the game was over at that point. You're down
True,
17 nothing with less than 10 seconds left. But it shows his ability to stand tall in the pocket and evade that. I mean, that was a defensive lineman, right? That wasn't a linebacker. That was a 300-plus pound dude who he just shrugged off and then chucked it out of the end zone to, if there were another down, he would have lived to play another play, which is exactly what you're getting coached to do. So, I kind of love how he handled that.
Yep. No, I agree.
I wish, I know they're hurt and that we wouldn't want to give them extended burdens in the preseason anyway, but I wish that some of our younger guys could get some experience with some of the true ones, because we had a wide receiver core that was led by Ben Skoranek out there, and he's not a slouch by any means, but he's also not your DKs or your Pittmans or anything along those lines. And Muth and Washington weren't out there very long either. So I really wish we could have seen a series or two with Howard or Allar with those guys out there, because, I mean, you see Allar slinging the ball out there and getting receivers chances at it, and then just dropping it sometimes in the open field, sometimes under a little bit of pressure from a defensive back. But it would be good to see them be able to have more experienced and more capable guys out there to be able to sort of show off a little bit better what they're able to do with the correct caliber of talent. So I know it's not something that you would typically see anyway with back of the roster quarterbacks, because Aaron's our one, and we may, who knows, maybe we will get a series or two with some of the ones out there just to give them a little bit more time to gel before the season gets going here. But yeah, just a rough game last night from a lot of these guys. And I mentioned it in our group chat, but for the benefit of the listeners, I think Allar just had better processing. I thought Howard a couple of times either just completely missed a defender that was ready to poach the ball on one of the interceptions, or underthrew or whatever it was, but he just looked shaken out there and not as ready for the moment. So I hate to say that, because I'm in the same camp as Cody. I'm a Penn State fan, but I'm also a Will Howard fan, and so it's tough to see him have those struggles, especially with, as Cody also mentioned, the little bit of a sour reaction to being drafted by the Steelers that we saw from Allar. But I do a little bit more believe in the power of Allar right now. So,
yeah, let's while we're talking power, let's go to the defensive line, switch to the other side of the field here. And it was nice to see the starting defensive line do so well against the run. I felt like those first couple of drives, the offense, the Jets did move the ball down the field, but not because they were successful in the run. It was all because of their success throwing the football. So early on, we see a batted pass by Y.A. Black that almost gets intercepted by a fellow defensive lineman. Derek Harmon and Keanu Benton's both started at defensive end with Black in the middle there. And they did a great job against the run. They were run stuffing capabilities on this top end of this defensive line unit are really good. And we still haven't seen Cam Hayward. We're not going to see Cam Hayward in a preseason game, I don't think. And I don't think we need to, so don't get that twisted. But also Sebastian Joseph Day hasn't played in a preseason game yet. And this is a high-end defensive lineman who's been around the league a little bit, who's a very stout individual. He's played some nose tackle. He's played some end. So I expect his play versus the run to be very high end also. We are in a situation where that defensive line seems to be very stout versus the run now, which is a big-time change from previous seasons where you had a couple guys that could stop the run. But after that, you get guys like Isaiah Loudermilk on the field. He got pushed around a lot. Some of these other backup defensive linemen, it says Zayo Tomewo, not a run stopper. Like a lot of these dudes they'd bring something to the table in some category, but just not what we're used to. And now I feel like the defensive run stopping capabilities all the way down to Rubio playing some stout defense, still not getting pushed around on that line. I think we got a unit here on this D line that can stop the run, which is so dang important especially in our division, whereas we know the Ravens love to run the football. The Browns typically love to run the football. They're definitely going to have no choice this year. I don't think they have a quarterback worth rostering on the team. So you got to be able to stop it. It starts up front, and I think those dudes represented themselves real well in this game. Was there anybody specifically D-line wise that really jumped out to any one of you?
Rubio specifically.
Rubio.
yeah. So YA was a great surprise for me to be able to make the starting roster this year. I didn't expect that, but I'm grateful that he did, because as Cody highlighted by giving him the shout out here first, he's just been really, really stout. I think he's outplayed the draft position in which we've selected him. He
Big
seems
time.
way the biggest value pick that I think we got in that draft, because the other guys I think played to the level of the place where they were chosen. They kind of fit the bill. Harmon, clear first round pick, plays like a monster, but I feel like YA Black plays to the level of like a second or third round guy, and I think what we got in the fourth. So, and that's kind of the same way I've been feeling about Rubio. Now I know he's been playing against not starting level guys every rep, but he's just constantly so staunch in the middle of that line. And there were a couple times where I watched him stand a guy up and start kind of marching him back. So just really impressed with him. Hadn't heard of him at all, and that's probably due to the injury, but was really happy to see how far he exceeded my expectations, especially coming off of an injury here. He's been really, really good. So that's been encouraging to see, and I really do hope he makes this roster, because I've been so impressed with his play.
I thought I can't agree with you more, but I did think the one thing that was frustrating I saw on ESPN, they didn't credit YA Black with a batted pass or with a pass defense. How do you miss that?
Oh, ESPN, you lose credibility every day.
How do you? I don't understand how you missed that. They immediately showed him on the screen after the batted pass, and it was caught by an offensive lineman. And I'm like, what are we doing? But that's the big thing for me that I love so much about our team, and specifically, thinking Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, these kinds of guys. Jack Sawyer, we'll get to the linebackers. Also could have had a pick six. But either way, great play. Jack Sawyer also coming in with a sack. Also, we'll get to that. But YA Black, I just think, is doing a very, very nice job of being stout against the run and being a disruptor against the pass. It's not like one of those guys that like, oh yeah, he can stop the run and he's not a liability in the pass game. No, he's doing a good job of applying pressure, forcing the pocket to move one way or the other. And I've been very impressed with YA's ability, to be a disruptor, to be a guy that's going to change the game without noticing it in those minuscule plays that you don't recognize. We've talked a lot about that. I mean, we talk about it sometimes when TJ Watt gets a sack and we're like, well, Cam Hayward was credited with the pressure and it forced him right in. Like that, YA is going to turn into one of those players that feeds other players' stats because of how disruptive he can be.
I can't agree with you more on that, Cody. It is so important for the success of the edge rushers that the guys that are rushing up the middle push the pocket. You can't just be in a stalemate situation, because then the quarterback can just step up, avoid the pressure from that outside linebacker who's coming up the edge, and they've got somewhere comfortable to throw from. If you just moved your guy back 2 or 3 yards every time, it doesn't even need to be all the way into the quarterback's lap, but just far enough that the quarterback can't step up, then he's got no choice but to start rolling out to the sides, and that's where our athletic outside linebackers make their money, man. And I felt like, as you were previously mentioning in your talk there, like Jack Sawyer represented himself nice getting after the quarterback. Nick Herbig had a great game in the short amount of time that he was on the field and getting after the quarterback. We've got depth getting after the quarterback. We've got guys. I think Sawyer is looking like he took a step physically. He looks a little bit quicker than he did last year getting after the quarterback. And I know the one, Zach, I kind of made light of it on Twitter, mentioning that he did his best Myles Garrett impression and came through completely unblocked and got a sack. But you do have to get the guy to the ground. So he did a great job in doing so. But I really liked what I saw out of our top end pass rushers in this game of getting pressure, getting after the quarterback, and being stout against the run too. Sawyer, I thought, was just as good against the run in this game as he was getting after the quarterback. Very stout, very strong dude, man. You don't typically see an edge rusher in a 3-4 system that's that able to hold up versus offensive tackles that, you're giving up 60, 70 pounds sometimes to. And he's a strong dude, and he does a great job with that. So I was real happy with how those guys performed. And I think the more these dudes, like these big defensive linemen, get that push up the middle, we could be looking at a season where we get 3 edge rushers and 10 plus sacks this season.
Yeah. Could finally hit the 60 mark that we've been talking for, James.
The shaved head number.
Yep. So, I think the exciting thing is we allowed 17. Obviously, it's not their starting offense, but we allowed 17 points. You'd only imagine with all the starters out there on both sides of the ball, if we give up 17 points or less, you got to imagine our offense can put up more than 17, especially with the guys like DK, Pittman, Aaron, Pat, Darnell, all those guys out there. Obviously, Darnell was one of those guys that played in this game. But very much looking forward to that, because it, like you're talking about, James, that defensive line, the defense as a whole, especially the guys that are out there that we know are fighting for like starting positions, they seem hungry. They seem like they want to get a win. And so excited to see what they can do this year. But if you guys ever feel hungry, we know a place that you should go, and it is called the Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
It absolutely is, and I wasn't ready for that ad read. So give me programming of the Steelers by the Lake podcast is underwritten in part by the Edinburgh Hotel Bar at 100 Meatville Street in downtown Edinburgh, providing a variety of lunch and dinner items daily and free buzzworthy pub trivia every Wednesday night starting at 7 p.m. Details are available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com.
Yeah, Edinburgh Hotel Bar, great place to go. I'll be there the Saturday before the first Steelers game. I'm excited to have dinner. If you guys are welcome to join. I'm going to have dinner with the girlfriend before we head down to the game in the morning on Sunday. But very much looking forward to being back in that atmosphere and that time. So appreciate them. Let's bounce to linebackers as a whole. I'm assuming. Still an impressive game. Very impressive.
Who was it?
Them as a whole. I thought Carson Bruner was I thought Bruner was impressive. I thought freaking even a Landon Roberts looked good.
Rob was good.
Who was the other one?
Jamin Davis, I thought, had a really good game.
Yep.
In this linebacker room, if we're doing linebackers as a whole.
Patrick Queen had a massive hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, behind the line of scrimmage, he never does that, but he sure did in this game, man. Like, yeah, let's go. I'm gonna let you guys go off on this because I've been kind of hogging the microphone today. But this middle linebacker crew was awesome, I thought, in this game.
I thought Landon Roberts really was the highlight of the room for the entirety of the game. And I think part of that would have to be the Patrick Queen connection, or not the Patrick Queen, the Patrick Graham connection. And then also having had a little bit of time with some of these guys already, being able to kind of be that chemistry guy for this team that has a number of new pieces in the room as well. But to be able to be a little bit more familiar with the scheme, I think gave him a leg up. But that doesn't matter. The play was so good. He was flying around everywhere, making tackles. And then Davis had a batted pass or two in this game as well, and just, I thought, made a pretty good showing for himself. So really kind of making a push to make this roster. Please get Peyton Wilson off of special teams. I don't want to see Peyton Wilson on special. He made a great hit. It was a really nice hit, but I just really don't want to see him have to do double duty there if he doesn't have to. But I'll turn it over from there because that's pretty much all I had on this. But I thought they did a good showing for themselves, and Malik Harrison for cuts.
Yeah, definitely Malik Harrison for cuts. Unfortunately, but the middle linebacker crew was accredited for 4 tackles for loss, and I don't know, the last time that happened had to have been before or around the time of Ryan Shazier. I mean, there's no way we've had 4 tackles for loss out of that inside linebacker crew since then. And I'm going to do some research to find out because now I'm curious. But that was just very, very impressive to see that. Obviously, we talked about the edge rushers with Jack Sawyer getting a sack, tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. He was all over the place in that game, almost picked off a screenplay. Carson Bruner, I thought, showed up very, very well, blowing people up. I mean, only credited for 2 tackles, but definitely had a bigger impact on the game than that, as well as a pass breakup there. And then Patrick Queen, and it was somebody else. I want to say it was Sean Jenkins or somebody met a running back like at the handoff. Like at the handoff, this guy was tackled by 2 dudes. And I was just blown away.
You're right. Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. Just very, very, very impressed with how that inside linebacker crew played, especially when you consider I don't feel like we ever got a rotation of the actual starters, which is probably going to be what? Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen. I don't think other than maybe the first drive, we didn't see a whole lot of that. We saw a lot of mixing, matching, putting different guys in at different positions, which is the team. It's the coaches. They're doing things that we may question because they're trying to get a feeling for the players. They've never worked with these guys before outside of, the guys that have worked with the defensive coordinator before. But as a whole, this coaching staff is really putting everyone to the test in different positions, different situations. Hey, can you work well with this guy? Hey, can you work well with that guy? Even Jacoby Windman, if I'm not mistaken, got a tackle for loss. So very, very, very impressed with that inside linebacker crew. Do you guys want to bounce it out to the secondary?
Not yet, because I want to go off on Carson Bruner right now.
Go for it. Go for it. I'm muting my mic. All you.
This to me was the game I was waiting for Carson Bruner, and I wish he would have had more opportunity on the field, because I feel like he shines so brightly in the short opportunity that he had that they're like, okay, we've seen enough here, get him off the field before somebody else tries to snatch him from us or something. I don't know. But, he had an opportunity on one play where they tried to run a screen play to the right, and he happened to be either he had the responsibility of the running back or he was blitzing on that side, one or the other. Regardless of what it was, he read it like a book, got out there, got a hand up, and batted that thing down. And you don't see too many screen passes to the running back or wide receiver. I don't recall which position it was, but it was off to the top of the field, right side of the quarterback. You don't see too many passes get batted down on a screen play by a middle linebacker. If anyone's going to do it, it's a defensive lineman, because he was already there and he only had to make a step or two. Bruner was so fast in diagnosing the play that he shot from his middle linebacker position all the way up there and batted down the screen pass, and then got an opportunity to pass blitz later on in the game. Absolutely truck stick the running back and ran him over. You're going to find that dude's jersey name in the field planted where Carson Bruner stamped him, and then got the sack on the play. I thought an incredible performance by Carson Bruner. My biggest concern from him from year 1 to year 2 is, did he do enough in the weight room? Did he gain a little bit extra muscle mass to be able to hold up versus starting level offensive linemen and offensive players? Do we know that yet? I don't know. Patrick Queen made a crack about, he's still got to get his weight up. So probably partially needs a little more work in the weight room, maybe still to be that starting level dude. But versus the competition that he went against, and he was on the second unit. He came in after Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson came out. So I do feel like he probably was still playing against some starting level or at least second string offensive linemen and offensive skill position guys. Carson was great. So I'm ecstatic about what we saw from Carson Bruner in this game. I was very much so hoping we could see him take the next step so that we can think about possibly having him as a future piece of this middle linebacker group, maybe even a potential future starter. And I thought the potential really shined through in this performance. So I couldn't be happier about Carson Bruner. Cody, you look like you have more to talk about.
I was also satisfied with how Julius Welshoff played as well. I don't want to forget him.
Yeah, Welshoff was
He almost had a sack at one point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Welshoff's getting the hang of the NFL, man. He's been trying out for this team for like 3 or 4 seasons now, it seems like. And I love that he gets that international exemption, because if you needed him to play during the regular season, he's going to know what to do at least. So I think you can do a lot worse than having Julius Welshoff as your international exemption guy on the practice squad.
Yep. All right, now time to go to the secondary. I'm going to say it right out the bat. Deshaun Jameson's cut.
Yeah, that touchdown he gave up at the end of the game looked like poor effort, which is the worst thing you can say about something.
Yep.
Now, was there a little bit of a push off on the play? Absolutely, yes. But did he even try to down him before he got into the end zone? No, not really at all. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought a bad game from him. And I felt like the cornerback room in general didn't have a great game in this game. And really the only difference personnel-wise from week 1 to week 2 was no Dalen Everett in this game, and you could tell. Like Dalen Everett was so good in the first game that his presence not being on the field was definitely noticeable in the second game. Asante Samuel I thought was fine. Outside of that, a lot of the other corners were just getting lost in coverage pretty frequently. So I don't really have anything positive to say about the cornerback room coming out of this game, but I thought some of the safeties made some splashes in this game. Rayshawn Jenkins early in the game, fantastic as a blitzer, whether versus the pass or versus the run. Made some big-time hits versus the run in this game. Robert Spears-Jennings, again, showing his ability to click and close. And when he diagnoses and goes after a ball carrier or a receiver, man, he's fast getting there. And Deshaun Elliott with a stripped ball in this game, too. So we saw some plays out of these top safeties. Castro got a lot of burn in this game, but I didn't see a lot of plays out of him. Jack Henderson, I thought, was very up and down in this game. Didn't really get much playing time until late in the game. The one play I saw him just kind of bring the wood and just lower a shoulder and then just stand there and not finish the play, and the guy got another yard or two afterwards, which I didn't care for. So just in general, better play from the safeties than the corners in this game. And I feel like that safety room getting a little bit easier to figure out who's going to make the roster too.
Has Jamel Dean been dressing for these games?
Yeah, they just haven't tested him.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I was going to say I haven't seen him out there, but that speaks volumes too, though, because so to me, the biggest defensive struggle we had in this game was the pass game, and I think the run game was very solid. And again, we had Cam Hayward hasn't played, Sebastian Joseph Day hasn't played, so we've got other pieces that are solid pieces that are only going to improve the run defense. But that also, I think, can be said of pass defense as well. When you have Jamel Dean hasn't really played, Joey Porter Jr. has not played, Jalen Ramsey has not played, and I know that there's some injury designations there that are playing into that. Eccles, yeah. So we've got first team pieces that haven't been on the field that would have drastically improved what we saw out there. And at first I was like, dang, we let up 17 points to the New York Jets. But then I also realized that we have pieces that weren't playing, and it wasn't really that bad of a showing. I mean, they should have had another 3 because of the missed field goal if they had a better kicker in. They were trying out 2 different kickers. But
that was a long field goal because of Carson Bruner. He got a sack on the play before that, pushing it back to a 59-yard kick. So part of that is the fact that Bruner made such an awesome play. But continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Hey, I'm all for the Carson Bruner love on this show. We are Carson Bruner fans. Carson, if you want to come on the show, Carson's family, who likes James's Twitter post, if you want to come on the show, we will.
Tracy Bruner.
Tracy, you're welcome on the show anytime. But yeah, no, just really, I felt like the secondary was a bit of the problem here, and some of that also is those the front of the line not getting the pressure on the quarterback to force errors or errant throws or things as well. But I thought the secondary was the bigger question mark in this game, and a lot of that I feel like can be attributed to those top guys being out. It doesn't bode well for our backups as much, but I still feel confident in Asante Samuel Jr. Dalen Everett's probably not, even if he's a starter, he didn't play in this game. So we have the pieces there. It's just the back of the roster guys that were showing why they're back of the roster guys. So hopefully once the injuries sort themselves out, we'll see better play. So I'm not terribly worried yet, but it does kind of show that some of these guys are where they're supposed to be on the depth chart and why they probably won't make the team. Not trying to rank them over the Colts or anything, but it's just the nature of the thing. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. 4 of the top 6 corners on this roster didn't dress for this game. So yeah, when you realize that that's the situation, that in Jamel Dean, I think only played like 1 series, maybe 2. Same with Asante Samuel Jr. And then they got him out of there and let the backups run the rest of the way. And that's where there's such a big difference from week 1. You know, the difference is Dalen Everett. And Dalen Everett played a lot week 1, and he played real well. He played great in coverage. He played great supporting the run. And I really didn't feel like that was the case with these other corners in this game. You know, I really hope to see some of these guys get healthy for the final preseason game. I'd love to see this Joey Porter situation get resolved and get that contract signed. That would be tremendous. We're getting split reports on this. Jordan Schultz saying, hey, you know, Pittsburgh's trying to deal him. Everybody's trying to offer for him. And then Mark Caboli saying, you know, I've talked to people inside the organization. They haven't received a single offer, and they have no interest in moving on from him. So kind of typical. I feel like Jordan Schultz is kind of the pot stirrer who's always got some kind of report to try to make a name for himself out there, and half the time it's not accurate. So I'm going to go with Caboli on this one. I feel like he's got a little bit better insight as to what's going on within those walls. But they need to get this contract taken care of. Because you can tell that Joey Porter isn't playing. You can tell Jalen Ramsey isn't playing, and Eccles and Everett. Like, these dudes need to get out there in this final preseason game. We need to start seeing some chemistry. And I feel the same way on the offense. You know, I don't think that DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. necessarily need to play in a preseason game, but these dudes need to play together. And I'm not a big fan of getting into the regular season and having these dudes not played together at all yet. So as much as I don't think you necessarily need to see Aaron Rodgers play, you might need to have Aaron Rodgers play a series, at least with some sort of success, with DK Metcalf, with Michael Pittman Jr. You might need to see this secondary actually play together before the regular season hits if you want them to play together well in the regular season. I'm really hoping
that's what's frustrating for me about not having that 4th preseason game.
Yeah.
I feel like you do that in that 4th one. You have 3 games to figure it out, and then that 4th game is to monkey with a few final things and let the starters have a shot.
Yeah. It's the dress rehearsal game, and you don't have that now because everybody's so worried about injuries. But then you don't get good football till week 3 or week 4.
Yep. It's very frustrating. But no, I let you guys go off on the secondary thing. I couldn't agree with it. I mean, the big thing is not seeing your top guys is such a frustrating thing because you literally, especially with a new coaching staff, you don't know what you have. You can see them in practice all day long. There are practice heroes out there that practice very well, and then they go into a real game. I had somebody like this in high school. Man, they lit it up and I'm not going to name names right now, but they lit it up in practice. They were like an all-star. But then they go into a real game and they can't do anything that they did in practice because their head's not in it or whatever. I mean, obviously we know Aaron, DK, Michael, like we know these guys can play, but the chemistry that comes from being on a field together in an actual game, you can't recreate that in practice. You can't recreate that scenario. Even with the Friday Night Lights stuff that they do, none of that stuff is recreated, nor did they probably practice as much as they probably should have in that either. They probably still let a lot of the younger guys take reps. But I do hope we get Aaron for at least a drive. It'd be nice to see Aaron for a drive, even though I still don't think we're going to. I think Mike McCarthy and him are going to say, no, we don't want to take a chance of anything. You're going to play in the regular season. But overall, just got to see – I would like to see those corners get the field and get some action. I'm hoping we get an update on the Joey Porter situation here pretty soon. I don't want this dragging into the regular season. But the safety room, again, I mean, Deshaun Elliott, arguably defensive MVP. That strip fumble was awesome. And I really enjoy still watching Robert Spears Jennings as well. Mm-hmm. Quieter game this week, but still good.
Yeah, so let's kick over to special teams then, and it's actually some stuff to talk about this week where Caden Weetjen got an extremely long burn and got almost all the return duty until late in the game. And unfortunately for him, a couple of mistakes in this game that will be something that's talked about in the meeting room. He had one return where he was tackled very awkwardly, but fumbled the ball on his way out of bounds, probably due to the way that he was getting twisted up. He was tackled by his shoulder pads. It looked funky. It looked like maybe a horse collar, maybe a face mask. In the end, it was neither one, but it was still very awkward how he went down. Regardless of that, you do need to hang on to the football, unfortunately, fumbling it on his way out of bounds. Now, the defender didn't get 2 feet in bounds before maintaining possession, so they didn't lose possession of the football. But later on in the game, he also bobbled a punt return. He was able to recover it before running upfield, but it's a bad look for him because that's his specialty, is the return man. He didn't really get any opportunity as a receiver in this game as he did in the first game. And I don't know if just necessarily he didn't get open or the quarterbacks didn't find him in this game or what the situation was offensively. But I felt like he had a little bit of pop in the return game, but you got to be able to hold on to that ball. And unfortunately for him, as the game went on, Max Hurlman got a couple opportunities, and Max did a really nice job on those returns. So that's a bad thing for Caden Weechin. I don't think that you're going to give up on a 4th-round pick just because the guy behind him had a nice game in the return game. But I feel like you do have to feel pretty good about how Max Hurlman did in those return capabilities in his opportunities late in the game. And Caden's got to clean that up in this final preseason game, man. We really need to see a nice return from him, and he's got to make sure that he keeps better hold of this football in the final preseason game.
I'm right there with you. Everyone knows how I feel about the Max Hurlman thing. So, I would love him to make the team. But Caden Weechin has to make better opportunity. Obviously, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think there's a chance Hurlman makes the team just with the way it's formatted, and with the other guys on the team in that position and in other positions that you're already arguing about keeping a 4th or 5th body for whatever the position is. I don't think Max Hurlman has a chance. And I quite frankly think that if he goes to practice squad, he's going to be gone. This year more than last year, I think someone will pick him up for even just the return ability, or injuries. If you've already had some guys get injured. Who knows? Maybe the Ravens, now that one of their receivers is arrested with a family domestic violence situation. So who knows what happens there. But Caden's going to get another burn. I think we all agree with that this next game is going to be a heavy Caden return game as well. We don't want to see Jalen. We don't want to see Rico Dowdle. We don't want to see – I would argue seeing Eli Heidenreich a little bit and then Hurlman and him. Between those 3, those are the 3 guys I want to see get returned. But then outside of that, there's no one else that needs to be back there. In my opinion, there's not another soul on this team that needs to be back there.
In my opinion, I almost think, and I know this is tough to do with a 4th-round pick, but if Hurlman continues to have a better burn, keep Hurlman and see if you can sneak Weechin onto the practice squad. Because then you've got the guy that other teams are more likely to poach. Other teams are not as attached to Weechin as a 4th-round pick. And if he's not giving a good showing, you're probably able to sneak him onto your practice squad and then still have him on your roster for the years to come if you still need him. So I don't want that to be the case. I want him to show the same level of return skills that he showed in college, but he just hasn't shown that at the NFL level yet. So I hope we get a more of an extended burn from him in this final preseason game. I want him to be the return man that we drafted in the 4th round, but he just hasn't played to that 4th-round caliber of player, nor has he played to the level of play that we saw from him in college. So I'm hoping he returns to that form. That would be the most ideal situation. But as things stand now, I'd almost rather keep Hurlman as a return man and see if we can sneak Weechin onto the practice squad.
I think if you try to do that, being a 4th-round pick, there's got to be at least a dozen teams that would snatch him up right away the second you waive him. Yeah. So I can't go with that strategy personally, just because I don't think there's any chance he makes it to the practice squad if you were to try to do so. But Max Hurlman is making a very strong case for this 53-man roster. And I feel like if Pittsburgh were to keep 7 wide receivers, right now it has to be Max Hurlman. I think he's representing himself well as a receiver, showing some good wide receiver chops, and then really put a nice emphasis on his game with his return capabilities in this game. That was his best opportunity, was as a return man, and he took full advantage of it. So I like what Max is doing this preseason. I feel like he's taken a step forward from what his game was last preseason. And he's there, man. He's knocking on that door. He's making a real strong case for himself. And if something were to happen where someone were to not be available due to injury week 1, I think that person goes to the IR, and you allow Max Hurlman to be the guy that's the number 6 wide receiver if someone goes down. Yeah. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I'm saying that his preseason has been good enough to be considered in that room for sure. It makes it a very difficult conversation because I do feel like whichever guy you keep, the other one's probably going to get snagged by somebody because they've shown enough. I think that Caden Weechin with that 74-yard catch and run on that first week, there's no way that a single team in the NFL didn't see that highlight, but anybody that watches the highlights from later on in this game is going to see Hurlman on the return game and say, man, okay, so this kid's got experience as a running back. He's playing wide receiver now. He's good on kick return and punt return units. And, oh, yeah, he played some corner in college too. So, oh, gosh, the value's too high. Also in special teams here, we have to mention it. Backup kicker Lath Margin had one opportunity and kicked a wide left. So, or was it wide right? I don't know. Either way, he missed it. Yeah, and it was
doing his best Tyler Loop impression,
Yeah, absolutely. You got to do better, Lath. It's is he going to get any opportunity in the final preseason game? Maybe, but we're so spoiled in Pittsburgh that typically the backup kicker in the preseason is really good all preseason long. He makes a bunch of kicks, and then somebody ends up starting them later on down the road. We've seen a lot of former Pittsburgh Steeler tryout kickers make it on other teams because they've been that good. So it seems like maybe this is the year that's not the case, but he'll get one more opportunity in his final preseason game here.
Yep. Excited to see what happens in this last preseason game, but then even more excited for frickin' the regular season to be here, especially since I'm going to be at week 1. If you're going to be there, let me know. I'd love to link up with you when we're tailgating and everything. I believe that the place I park is Red Lot 6, so you're welcome to join. James has something else, though.
Yeah, before we wrap up this show, which we're about to do, next week, tune in. It's not just a recap of the final preseason game. It's our 53-man roster predictions because the cut down is like a day or two after that game. So that's when we've got to do them. Otherwise, it'll be too late. So next week, big show, recapping the final preseason game and our final 53-man roster predictions.
Yeah, it's going to be a great, great time. Also, James, it's going to be 2 separate shows. We discussed 2 separate shows, both released the same time, though, because the one's going to be so big. So there's going to be a week 3 recap show that'll be out, and then there will also be a 53-man roster cut down prediction show as well, both coming to you on Saturday. Can't thank you guys enough for being here. Be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. It don't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on our podcast make James and the rest of us very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, and the new Pittsburgh dad, Nick Pretzel, signing off.
Peace.